Hello there, I'm Black Bright News, and there's a lot of talk going on about Nigel Farage's comments that he made as a child, well, as a teenager actually. And you have to ask yourself, what you say as a teenager, is it how you feel as an adult? And I was trying to think about how I used to think as a teenager and whether or not the way I thought then is how I think now. But I didn't really have any major thoughts back then. But it did make me think about people like Tiana Trump. She was a porn star, and her past is catching up on her. And even though she's changed direction to a certain degree, she's still being judged on her past. So it's something similar with Nicholas Farage. If he at school was making anti Semitic remarks and doing the Nazi salute and making racist slurs when he was at school, and then you find that his policies have some similar veins going through them, it makes you wonder whether or not how he felt as a child is how he feels now. Now, he reckons that he was just a wind-up merchant back at school and he was just being provocative. But he was being provocative and apparently hurting people. And it's interesting that he was making making songs about gassing people, about the Germans gassing people. He was singing songs about that. And his great-grandfather was a German immigrant, so his parents have German heritage. So it's most bizarre. So sometimes it makes me think that, is he ignorant? Is he really a wind-up merchant? Does he like a lot of attention? Is this his way of getting it? I have no idea, but I thought I would do a quick, well, I don't know if it's going to be quick. I hate kind of talking about my thoughts because it always takes me off track and it always uses up all of my time. So let me go to my notes. I've given you what my thoughts are, so I put, as a black woman raised in England, still affected by past histories, I would have to say our past does impact our future. Our past behaviour can cause people to judge us. Police, when they stop a suspect, will radio in and ask, is this suspect known to us? When you think about Tiana Trump, the ex-porn star who has been linked to professional footballer Nicolas Pepe, her past is labelling her future. So is this why Nigel Farage's past has returned to bite him on the bum? Let's delve deeper. So how much do things said as a child matter? Decades of old allegations about Nigel Farage, who, when he said them, didn't realise he would become one of the most recognisable figures in British public life. So if he had known, I wonder if he would have behaved differently and not said those things. When media outlets gave former classmates and former teachers of Nigel Farage an opportunity to come forward with what he was like as a child, allegations that he used racist language, made anti-Semitic comments, and even performed Nazi salutes was disclosed. A letter dated 1981 from a teacher who had warned against making Farage a prefect, citing publicly professed racist and neo-fascist views, was also disclosed. Farage, Brexit cheerleader, serial election survivor, denies the serious claims. He calls them exaggerated, misremembered, or politically motivated. He says he never tried to hurt anybody. He claims he was a wind-up merchant, not a racist, a provocateur, a mischief maker. But if a future Prime Minister or major political figure once said things involving Holocaust references, racist slurs or Nazi symbolism, even as a teenager, what made him think that way? Especially when his parents are of German heritage. His great-grandfather, like I said, was a German immigrant. Critics say he's either an overt racist or at the very least, he has unconscious bias, which may have shaped his worldview as an adult politician. Former classmates have come forward and said that Farage, then in his mid-teens, engaged in behaviour they felt was not random mischief. They claim he sang songs referencing the Holocaust, used racial slurs, and made references to fascist symbols. Farage insists that his behaviour has been wildly overstated and sometimes flat out invented. He says he was a provocateur, not a racist. Whether someone runs for parliament, leads a political movement, or influences public debate on issues like immigration and national identity, their values matter. The argument isn't just about teenage mistakes, it's that his early attitudes may influence present-day politics, rhetoric, or the culture of his political movement. We're not talking about a teenager making crude jokes or mocking someone's haircut. The claims involve Nazi salutes, songs about gassing Jewish people, racist slurs towards minority students. These are deeply serious behaviours, and even if Farage didn't fully understand the weight of what he was saying, the people hearing it certainly did and were obviously unsettled by it. A clean, unambiguous apology would likely have shut the story down, something like, I said those things, I should never have said them, I'm ashamed, I apologise. But Farage's response has been framed around intent. He says he never tried to hurt people, even if he never tried to hurt people, as he claimed, the issue is, did the comments cause harm, and does he acknowledge that harm? His reluctance to fully apologise raises doubts about whether the attitudes behind the remarks ever truly disappeared. Early attitudes, especially those expressed confidently and repeatedly, can leave traces. For example, his rhetoric on immigration, which often paints large migrant groups as threats to culture or safety. His repeated framing of multiculturalism as a problem. His language around refugees, asylum seekers. His repeated portrayal of Europe as culturally under threat. And his rhetoric on non-white migration patterns. His comments linking migrants to disease, his dismissal of institutional racism as nonsense. Individually, these positions can be defended, but critics say the overall pattern, at the very least, reflects a classic sign of unconscious bias. Many voters say he was a teenager, fine, but tell us what's changed. Tell us why you're different now. This is less about condemning him and more about wanting to see evidence of reflection, maturity and empathy. Farage, at least so far, hasn't provided that reassurance. Supporters say he was a child. Everyone says stupid things at that age. And my thing isn't working. Oh, I hate this thing. You know when you rely on technology and it's so important and it messes up. Anyway, supporters say he was a child. Everyone says stupid things at that age. Teenagers often seek attention through shock value. They push boundaries. They imitate behaviour they don't fully understand. Is it possible that Farage was simply trying to provoke a reaction back then rather than expressing genuine ideological belief? But if so, why is his current day rhetoric similar? Supporters argue it's unfair to judge someone so harshly based solely on memories that may not be reliable, and I agree. But as an adult in politics, he has learned how to couch his words so they are not as harmful, but the underlying message does seem to be the same. However, Farage positions himself as someone criticising immigration policy, not individuals. The story resonates because it touches on trust, judgment, empathy and personal growth. And perhaps the real issue is not what Farage said 45 years ago, but what he's willing or unwilling to say about it today. And I think that is what it is. We all make mistakes when we're young. We say stupid things. We do stupid things. But is it important to apologise for a behaviour that you didn't understand? Or is it because you're conscious now and you realise the harm you may have caused, you do apologise for it now? It's a very difficult one because, I did some stupid things when I was young. I guess they didn't impact other people and I'm not a celebrity, so the influence is different. But do I go back and say, oh, I'm sorry that, I went like this, or I put my two fingers up, or whatever it was I did at the time? do I apologise now for past behaviour? But anyway, you need to change your new behaviour, and I think that's what people want.